Puppies? Ollie, Ollie. Good evening.
Oh, there, there. It didn't mute our mics. That's weird. That it should have muted our mics when we started, you know.
Did you hear me singing?
I heard you whistling in your dogs. Here, puppies. Here.
Did you hear me? You didn't hear me. Get into bed.
I never heard that. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new show, Paranormal Uncut. Now, our guest for the night, Neil Story, he is in the dungeons, shackled to the walls as we speak. You know, the woman's there with the new. You know, he's probably enjoying himself. He's probably in there with the hoops and chains and stuff like that. You know. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you a wee bit about this show tonight. Obviously, my co-host for the show is Jenny here from our channel, our amazing channel, Emerald Isles Paranormal. Please get a bit of subscribe. Now, guys, tonight this is going to be a dark show. It's got to be like once every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks or so.
2 weeks,
This show's going to be every 2 weeks. It's got to be really dark. It's got to be a lot of dark history. So this is why I advise that if you have got any children, do not let them watch this. Put a pair of headphones on if you have them in the same room. It's advisable because we're going to go into dark, like Jack the Ripper, and we're going to hear some real dark terror stories.
Mm-hmm.
And also, ladies and gentlemen, we're also joined tonight by a celebrity. She has been on
Oh my God, he's doing it again.
Spooked Island, you know. So anyway, I thought I'd just mention that there, you know.
I was waiting. I didn't know if you were going to do it or not, and you did.
Right, so further ado, hello, Neil.
Hello.
How was the shackles and the dungeons? And
I don't do shackles. No, that's not. No, that's a big 9 danker for me. Thank you. I bribed the jailer, and he released me, and I've dashed back to Office Central here. So I'm safe. I'm all right.
You're good. You look good.
And so do you, folks. Nice to see you.
Yes.
You do.
Congratulations on Spooked Island.
Thank you so much.
Celebrity.
All too brief an appearance, Jenny, but lovely to see.
It might be longer on the next one.
Yes.
That's the excuse I hear every time.
Yeah. We'll have to get used to doing a show together. We'll have to get the two of you.
Yes. Brilliant.
You never know.
Yeah. A little trip over to Dublin to Bram Stoker House.
Oh.
That was exciting. That was brilliant. That was great.
Been.
Yes, I have been. I haven't gotten into it just yet, but I've been at the door talking to the owner and I have her number. So we're going to give her another wee call to see, you know, can we get up and get into it?
Absolutely wonderful.
I know.
Well done. Marino Crescent. Here we come one day.
And you know what? My daughter was doing, she was in school today and she sent me a picture and they were talking about Bram Stoker. And I was like, and she was telling the teacher about yourself, Neil, and that I have your book and I've interviewed you as well. And she was jealous and, you know, and I was like, that's what you want them to learn in school is about Bram Stoker and that,
you know.
Yeah. Well, that's
maybe one day if I come on over, maybe we can time it. Yeah. And pop in and just do like a morning session with some of the kids that would like to learn a bit more about Bram the man.
Absolutely, because I know when she said when she got the paperwork that she knew who he was, and I'm like, yes, you did.
Yes, your child. Well done.
I know these things, but I was delighted.
Yeah,
it's brilliant when kids are like that, isn't it? When
I totally know.
They
definitely.
Just show that
I like to
interest.
See kids. I like to see kids showing an interest in history and stuff like that. A lot of kids nowadays don't really, they're more caring about their phones and their Xboxes and stuff like that.
Not
but
all
it's good
of
to
them.
see.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
Not
I mean,
all
I used to when I went to school, I was fascinated by the war, the convoys in World War II and stuff like that. I was fascinated by that. So Neil, thank you for coming on tonight, because
Pleasure.
this is going to be a really interesting show. Now, everybody, links are in the description below if you want to buy one of Neil's books. He has a lot of books out there, but the Bram Stoker one that you've actually just brought out quite soon, actually, it's a really good book, you know.
Oh, thank you.
The links are in the chat. Christmas is coming and the goose is getting fat, and you want some reading material for the cold and wet wintry nights.
Get your books.
Hey, there it is.
Get your books.
There it is.
Get your books.
A hardback labour of love with lots of interesting pictures. Some of them not published before. God bless you, man.
No,
and it's available in America now via Barnes and Noble and UK Amazon and all good bookshops, you know. And go into a bookshop. That's what I say. That's my dare. I dare people to go into a bookshop and have a look.
I've not been in a bookshop for years. There used to be one in my local town, and when you walked in, you could smell all the paper.
Yeah,
smell all it was like it sold old books too, and you could smell. And it was like, oh my god,
that's
you just don't get that anymore. You don't get that anymore buying stuff off the
libraries. The libraries. I always go down to the paranormal section, of course, and then in the Waterstones bookstore, straight down to the mind and paranormal section and so on. And they're probably the only one standing there.
And why not? Go to the Usborne section of educational books for children. There's no finer gift for your children than the Usborne Book of Ghosts. Yes.
Well, listen, you have to get them into it. My dogs have gotten giddy tonight.
They know Neil's coming on. They know Neil's coming on.
I know. It's a little foster pup that I have.
There you go.
Yeah, the foster pup. The two of them are crazy. Ollie and Milky.
It's the pheromones over the ether, don't you know? The children of the night.
Oh, I know. Oh, God. That's what someone said before the show I was on before, and they said somebody had interviewed me or said something about if you've seen a child or children in a dark, dusty road, what would you do? Would you stop the car and get out and see what's going on? I can't say what I did say, but the answer was I'd run them over probably.
Oh dear.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but little children walking in a dark road at night time, say about 12 or 1 o'clock.
Black eyes and stuff like that.
Yes.
You know?
The black eyes. That's the key. If they've got black eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a black eye. I'm talking about no eye at all. Just an empty black socket. And the phenomena of the black-eyed children.
Yeah.
It's have they always been around? They've always been strange stories of lost children and ghostly kids, but
the black-eyed kids ones, that's actually something it's always interested me, the black-eyed kids. It was actually Dave Schrader, your good friend, actually. When I first started listening to the show on Darkness Radio, he had this guest on and they were talking about black-eyed children encounters. And it's weird how it's always like a little boy and a little girl that accompany each other and they come to your door and they want in. That's their main purpose. But if you let them in, they just disappear.
Oh, yeah.
Which is weird.
But don't invite them in. Oh, that's vampires. Don't invite vampires in.
Don't invite them over the doorstep. Those kids shouldn't be around about that kind of late at night. I mean, if they're a neighbour's kids and they're distressed or something, you'll know they are your neighbour's kids. These are very, very different children. And I've investigated them over at the black-eyed children phenomena.
Yeah. Please tell.
Some of the recent accounts, there have been quite a lot of sightings over in Cannock Chase. And when Dave was over on a recent trip for he was appearing at Festival of the Unexplained, I was there too, and we had an American paranormal research group with us, tourists, but not just tourists, because they were all interested in the dark, the strange, the unexplained, and we did a tour of sort of the Midlands, Middle Britain, which included a trip to Cannock Chase, where there's clearly something very odd has been happening there for quite some long period of time. The trouble is that there has been some hoaxing. There's a notable hoax of the woman dressed in white that looked to me rather like a Wiccan witch just going through some of her ceremonies in private in a woodland. But apparently that was even a set-up job. And they were in that woodland, there have been strange encounters. One of the strangest was a guy he went out with a friend, just learned to drive. They're parked up in a little car park down the road from the main car park. You can see across the fields too. They've got tall sort of pine trees there. And while he was parked there, they saw a light go over the heads. Now they wondered, is it an aircraft coming down, or what was it? But the light went over the heads and down to the back of the forest. And they thought, oh, is it a helicopter? You know, because sometimes around that area you'll get military exercises, anything. Then they see a beam of light from what might have been a very powerful torch coming through the forest. And they think, well, is it a forestry worker? But the thing seemed to be moving very smoothly through the trees without too much diversification. It's getting closer and closer and closer. Until it gets fairly close to these guys in the car park. And they think, what on earth is that going on through there? And they switch on the car lights. And it reveals 20 or 30 people, children, adult women, adult men, dressed in clothing that was quite inappropriate for woodland walking. You know, you might see them dressed like that in a city or a town. They're not in outdoor, what we call outdoor activity clothes. And one guy comes forward and they think, what on earth's going on? You know, and he simply says to the man that'd been looking at them with his mates, he says, come and join us.
Oh my
God.
They were gone. they were gone.
I think curiosity would get me.
Yeah.
And see what the crack is and go and join them.
I think it was the whole atmosphere of it, that it seems that there's some sort of portal there.
Yeah.
That whatever it is, for goodness sake, what could it be? If it's aliens, are aliens using it as a portal to come to Earth?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, this is the stuff of folklore and legend. To me, it's a great story.
See, it's actually interesting you say that.
I don't know.
I can't remember who Dave Schrader's guest was, but he actually had a guy on one night, and he was actually thinking that, see, the black-eyed children and some of the adults that do turn up with them are maybe interdimensional.
That's
the different
thing.
dimension.
That's the thing. Yeah. And the weird thing was in the main car park for Cannock Chase Forest, and it's a big forested area. These are mostly these kind of tall pine trees that they've got the branches quite high up.
Yeah.
And not far from that main car park area, between a road and the car park itself, is a patch of green and trees around. And by night, dolls were found there, wired to trees. And they're not nailed. They are fixed by wire kind of around their middle, and they're left there to go green or whatever. Some of them whether it's mold or whatever, or maybe people had already put it there, had black eyes around them. And it was never resolved. The reason why and it's creepy. It's creepy to see children's dolls, you know, that they're quite the size of a baby, you know. These are big, life-size children's dolls. And in the end, we were told they were removed by the police. So what was were people getting, you know, coming there late at night messing about, and the police were saying, right, we're not going to have this, you know, we don't want messing around in the woods? Or was there a more sinister concern about the reason for these dolls being placed there? Were they some sort of pacification for these black-eyed children? Are they trying to draw them to that particular area and film them or tempt them away? I don't know. There were so many unanswered questions, and it's utterly bizarre.
That is bizarre. That's just ridiculously bizarre. It makes you wonder if they wanted the dolls to become possessed deliberately.
Oh my gosh, really?
Who knows? But we certainly know that the black-eyed children, dusk periods, but also during the daytime, they're being seen. These are not often in what the reports that I've heard. They were not often boys. They were young girls, often in pairs. Clearly, too young. They're not teenagers. These are children.
Yeah.
So these are children that really shouldn't be out and alone.
Yes.
In the forest. The heads are down, and you encounter them. They raise their heads, and where they're, what are you doing here? Hello, kids. Where are your folks?
Yeah.
And they don't seem distressed or anything, but they just look up at you, and they've got black eyes, and before you know it, they've just disappeared.
I've just seen the shadow of my dog behind on the wall, and just frightened the Jesus out of me.
It's coming for you, Jenny. They're coming for you tonight.
But it's not just in Cannock Chase. There have been reports of this in my home county of Norfolk as well, down in what's known as Wayland Wood. Now, Wayland Wood, also known as the Wailing Wood, is where it's believed the original Babes in the Wood story was set.
That's right.
And one of the earliest published versions of Babes in the Wood, it goes back, a couple of 100 years, was published in Norwich. So there might be something to it. The tale of Babes in the Wood, they don't often do it as a pantomime nowadays. But it's in essence, two kids that their relative, this nasty uncle, quite often, and he wants their money or whatever, and he dumps them in a forest.
And they know if you see, if like anybody who sees children, you're gonna see if they need help or if that.
You would.
Own,
I mean, but down in the Wailing Wood, more black-eyed children have been seen. They've been encountered there. It's exactly the same encounter as I've heard over at Cannock.
Yeah.
They've also been encountered in Suffolk. Now, Suffolk is intriguing because it's part of our eastern counties. It's the one, if you know that big bump on the side of Great Britain, it's Norfolk, then Suffolk's below. You may have heard of something known as the Green Children of Woolpit.
That is so weird. That is so weird. A couple of weeks ago, somebody said to me, "Have you ever heard about the Green?" And I went, "I never heard about that." They never mentioned that, and they never told me what it was.
Well, this is a century old. It goes back centuries.
Yeah.
And it's the tale of in a little obscure village called Woolpit in Suffolk. And even that has got an odd history to it. Could it be the wolf pit? It's got a bit of an odd atmosphere down there. And in Suffolk, you'll see a number of depictions, and as in Norfolk as well, depictions of wood woes and green men. And the legend of the Green Man is definitely depicted in the roof bosses of Norwich Cathedral, for example. And wild men are often depicted on church doors around the archway, the medieval church doors. These two children walk into the village of Woolpit, and they are described as being green. They are strangers to the area. They apparently could not speak the language of local people. And I think it was the little boy died shortly afterwards. But the little girl remained and grew to maturity, and it's believed that she married and her greenness faded with time. And so the descendants of one of the Green Children of Woolpit, according to one legend, is that they could still be, there could be descendants among us. So the thought is, what could they have been? Could the children, it's been suggested that maybe they had crawled through a woodland. Maybe maybe their parents died, because you've got a period of time when you can get death and disease, you can get, outbreaks of even plague around that can wipe out communities. Maybe they lost both parents. The parents said, look, this plague is coming here, you must leave the village. Or maybe they lost parents through illness or accident and they fled. Maybe they'd lived rough for a while and walked through a lot of green foliage, and it turned left a mark on them, stained them.
Yeah.
But there's also this suggestion and a theory, and it depends which way you want to go with it. Were they children from another world? I mean,
that is spooky. That though, I mean, it makes you wonder where they were from, because you go back to the black-eyed kids, they were maybe getting dropped off to that was all of them got to split up and go into like different little villages and stuff like that. But when you come to like the green children, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, we've got to think of it as good historians, and as good historians, we will know that in rural areas, sometimes dialect is very localized.
Yeah.
And it might be that these children had wandered a long way and they came from a very different part of the county.
Yeah.
They could even got a cart ride from somewhere. The guy just dropped them off or abandoned them in a wood, and they wandered into the village. That is a possibility. But with this distance of time, as it stands, we just don't know. So I tell the story as it's a lovely mystery.
Yeah.
You know, and it's true folklore. And I mean, in Suffolk, there's also belief in the Orford merman, who was a man who was half man, half fish, supposedly.
Yeah.
Very
sort of
hirsute or hairy, who was caught up in fishing nets and brought ashore in the village of Orford, which is also in Suffolk. And that's intriguing because if you go to Orford Church, the font inside there is guarded by woodwows, which are club-wielding wild men. They are around the base of the font.
See, it makes you wonder what a lot of history has been covered up. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder what. It does. It makes you wonder what's like been covered up over the years. Because when you go into like some strange churches, there's weird carvings of these creatures and that, and people just think it's like architecture, and it's just because obviously 600-700 years ago, we don't know what was roaming the hills, and obviously they've died off, maybe, or have they died off? See, that's the thing.
Well,
have they died off?
What does the church tolerate at that time? Because these are old gods. You know, you go into Norwich Cathedral, there are depictions of wild men inside and out. You go into churches. We've got the greatest concentration of medieval churches in Europe, in Norfolk. Add to that into the many medieval churches in Suffolk, and you will see these strange, hairy men with clubs.
Yes.
Do you know again and again?
Roslyn Chapel, Scotland.
Ah, yes.
Roslyn Chapel, Scotland. I mean, you go into Roslyn Chapel, and then you've got the faces of the green men.
And outside, when I went to Roslyn, that was a revelation to me because I was expecting the Masonic connections, and quite rightly.
Yes.
And, you know, I think if I'm really honest, and I do know my Masonic symbolism as a free and accepted Mason myself.
Yes,
I know what I'm doing with that. It's there if you want to spot it.
Yeah.
But to me, the symbolism outside,
there's more.
The number of green men depicted out there, that was something I hadn't registered, and that came as a big surprise. To me, and I found it fascinating because everybody's going inside to look for the Masonic symbolism that connects to the Holy Grail or the Mother of Christ, and quite rightly, you know, that's a wonderful mystery. That's the Dan Brown connection, great. But I think you're missing a trick if you don't spot the green men.
I'm going to look that up now and check the churches here in Ireland and see if they have anything. Because I know Louise is saying it's like, they sound like, was it changelings from the fairy?
Changelings, yes. Absolutely right.
Irish folk.
See, Roslyn Chapel is very interesting, Jenny, because it's inside. Everybody goes in and they look up and think, oh, there's all the hidden things. Because I've got friends that are Masons too, and they've went, oh, Roslyn Chapel. But one of them says to me one day, says, look outside. And it's like, see, when you're outside, you don't notice it at first, but when you really do look, there's hidden things there. And
you need to walk around the out. I think walk round the outside first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look around the arches, look around the doorways, look at the base of the windows, at the really old carvings that are there. And I think it's worthwhile mentioning that if you contrast, and again, it's not often contrasted, you contrast Roslin Chapel to the chapels of Scotland and the churches of Scotland, and I'm sure you'll bear me out with this, Chris. They're very plain.
Yeah, I looked them up.
And this place is like nothing else. Why it has all of these depictions and features like even buildings that are now cathedrals, serious religious buildings in Scotland don't have this workmanship in them.
I spend a lot of time. I go through a lot of churches doing my videos and stuff like that, and most of them are just very plain buildings with hardly any carvings. Yeah, you'll get lovely stained glass windows, but that's it. But Roslin Chapel is different. There's something about it. There is something not quite right about it too. I mean, it's the way it's built too, its positions. It's no built like normal churches. It's aiming the wrong way too, and plus, it's got an underground part. I didn't realise this until somebody told us. It's actually got a sealed vault area that's never been opened since I think it was the 1700s. It was bricked up for some weird reason. So it makes you wonder.
It is an incredible place. And the number of holy water stoops outside.
Yes.
Check that out.
I want to see.
What's that for?
I'm now going to be checking some of the churches and chapels here in Ireland and see what they have now, because I know myself and Louise, we were doing this is on the day we went to Clontarf Church.
You've been wonderful.
The
ruined Clontarf Church.
Yes, the ruined. Yeah, but you can't get into it because there's signs there saying, the walls are unstable and there's bars in front of it, and you can't get in, and it's just all overgrown, on the inside. But we were on the outside, and we went around the whole graveyard, and it was actually beautiful.
Oh yes,
beautiful place. Beautiful. The autumn leaves were down. It was just a really beautiful place.
Did you spot is the old font left in the ruins, or has that been removed to the new church?
We didn't see that.
Because that font is where Bram Stoker and his siblings were christened.
Oh, we did not see that.
So hopefully it's been removed to the new church. They usually will do that, when they build a new church. They move
in the ruins itself, because we could not get into the actual the ruins of it, and it was overgrown up to your height of shrubs and bushes and.
You'll have to go to Clontarf New Church and see what it says, if it's got a lovely old font.
We could. That's it there.
Oh, don't keep dangling that in front of me.
And I have the original pictures, and not in Google, but real, and I'm not going to say that in a bad way, but, the pictures from being on the land. And it's I remember we were walking out, and I was doing a live on it, and I felt there was somebody behind me, but there was a man behind me.
Was he really there?
I think so. Louise, I was laughing, and then Louise was like, said, "Your man just walked out," and I'm like, "I know," but I felt like there was someone behind me, even though I didn't hear him. But my body sensed there was somebody behind me, and I was like, "Okay, that doesn't happen to me often."
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, "Yeah, okay, Jennifer," but I'd like to go to Clontarf Church and see if it is in there.
We must do that. We must do the Stoker tour of Ireland. That would be lovely.
I've actually got all the pictures there. I've actually got all the pictures on my phone. I've even got the monument outside his house. There's a square slab outside Bram Stoker's house.
Yeah, and
with the name.
There was a park right across from it, and it's called Bram Stoker's Park.
Oh, that's lovely.
I've even got inside the house. I've even got all the photos of inside the house too.
You have the photos of inside the house?
Yes. Did I not send them to you?
No.
It's like what it was.
When it was sold, the estate agents put pictures in up of inside the house. But it would be lovely to visit in person.
Yes, I hope to get in. I want to try her again, even though. Oh yes, yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Imagine sitting at the fire in a thunderstorm night.
I think it was 2 weeks we were up there, 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not too sure. But I texted her and she never got back to me. But I'm just going to do one more text. Tomorrow's Tuesday. I'll probably just give her a text.
I will couch this with a but.
Okay.
Bram Stoker didn't know that house very well. Although he was born there, by the time his younger brothers and sisters came along, so I think by the time he was maybe 3 years old, they were living somewhere else. And Bram could not walk until he was 7 years old. So he would have spent time maybe mostly in the nursery of that building. They moved to a place called Artane Lodge. It's still in Clontarf. But I don't know whether the building itself is standing today.
It is. Louise was looking it up. I think there's a plaque on the outside of the wall. But Louise was looking it up. It is still standing as far as I know. If Louise is still I know she's at work tonight, but I'll have a look to see if it's still there. And if it's still there, of course, we're going to take a photo.
We'll do a Bram Stoker special one day.
Yeah, we have to.
Aye, we need to do that. Dress up in the Victorian clothing and stuff like that.
Anything is possible.
So, while we're on the Bram Stoker, can you tell us any dark tales about Bram Stoker? And
Bram Stoker, the man, loved dark tales.
Oh yeah,
and he didn't just love. He didn't just write Dracula. He wrote many dark tales, and I mean, if you think about it this way, Jewel of the Seven Stars is probably, it's certainly one of the very first reanimated mummy tales. So if you think about, later these mummies that come to life, Bram was certainly one of the very first. Conan Doyle also produced one of those. But Bram wrote some very odd short stories. One particularly dark tale. They're twin brothers, and I think they hate their family so much, that they start bumping them off. And, which is or it is very, very dark. And
oh lordy.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil those stories. And in fact, although they're great to tell, I wouldn't want to spoil any of them, because I want people to start. If you get my book, you can see the bibliography. There are other books that have got the bibliography in of Bram's works. But as Lord Byron said, you see, truth is strange, stranger than fiction.
That's right.
And it's, in truth, Bram Stoker used to hide sort of in jokes and also hide all sorts of things in his books, little bits of code. He loved sort of dark tales. And if you read your Bram and you read his notes and read where he was certainly he was on tour for part of 1888, but also working in London and supervising things at the Lyceum Theatre, but also engaging in speaking appointments in London and visiting places in the East End during what they call the Autumn of Terror, which is the latter part of 1888, during the crimes of Jack the Ripper. And you can certainly feel that climate of fear. You see, in the East End at that time, the tragedy was that people lived hand to mouth. It didn't take much for any one of those women in the East End. They were not, many of them were not full-time prostitutes, but all they've got left, tragically, they might want to drink and they want a bed for the night, and tragically they would end up selling themselves or a sexual favor of some sort to obtain the money for a drink, for some food, and for a bed for the night. So this was absolutely tragic. And I think because it could be that any one of those women could be the next victim of Jack the Ripper, that was a terrifying thing. And I think fear is a contagion. So Bram certainly connected into that. And when you think about when Dracula comes to Britain, he has to have coffins distributed around the place so that he can rest in the soil of his native country at night. And so they're boxes of common earth. And one of the boxes goes to the East End of London. That. It goes to a place called Chicksand Street. Chicksand Street is just off Brick Lane. And Brick Lane, and if you put the point of a compass into Chicksand Street and you do a kind of circle around, doesn't have to be too big a circle, and maps of the East End were published in newspapers and periodicals at the time of the murders, and if you put a little bit of a circle around there, all of the Jack the Ripper crimes are pretty much around it. They're all walking distance.
Yes, yeah.
It's less than a square mile, really, of where all those crimes. And when you actually map them, and I mapped them in my book, and they're walkable, easy. That's why they're Jack the Ripper tours.
We've been there before. Myself and Louise and Niall have been there only a few months ago. It is just all walking distance.
It is. It is. And what is eerie is that when you get Whitechapel High Street, and you think of where Bucks Row. Now, Bucks Row is the first of what they call the canonical 5 victims. There's Polly Nichols. And she's found on Bucks Road. It's it's just a kind of a hop and a jump from the main road. You get maybe a couple of rows, and there you are in Bucks Row. You can, it's at the back of Whitechapel Station nowadays. You can just walk. It's that close, and then you go to the further point, which is when you get to Mitre Square, which is City of London, which is Cathy Eddowes. That they're your 2 points, and really it all takes place in between the two. It's dark, but we're fairly. It's pretty sure that Brown was drawing on that climate of fear.
Yeah,
and on the Lyceum stage was Richard Mansfield in his stage adaptation of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Mr. Hyde, yeah.
And the fear was that this was not the killings of an ordinary man on the street. This is a man who has medical knowledge, and only those that had the money to obtain that medical education in surgery. This is beyond medicine. This is surgery. Implied it was a gentleman, and this idea of Dr. Jekyll drinking a potion and he could become a monster. They were saying, is this influencing the crimes of this killer that soon became known as Jack the Ripper? So there's a lot of darkness wrapped up.
Do you think Jack the Ripper was mad, or do you think he was just? Do you think he was mad? Do you think he was mentally disturbed?
Oh yes, I do, but I don't. I think his condition, as has been quoted by others, I'm not unique in this view, would have been understood at the time as dementia precox. And it's mentioned in the Michael Caine Jack the Ripper film, and I think that aspect of it was well observed. And the idea being that this man could appear normal, just like anybody else, but something could trigger this, and that's why the sort of idea of the potion. Something, but with a mental condition like that, it doesn't have to be a potion. It can just happen, a metabolic change, and that it can be caused by syphilitic conditions, for example. That can certainly affect the mind, and if you have got syphilis, then that can manifest in a mental state of hatred towards women, because you'd be blaming the woman that gave you this curse of syphilis, and the whole story of revenge and everything, which is why I think Dr. Francis Tumblety, the Irish-born, he was born in Ireland, grew up really in America as a young man, and he got involved with abortions, and he had an absolute hatred of women. He had syphilis. He was a hermaphrodite. Not that should make you a murderer, but he was. And the combination of the syphilis plus the hermaphrodite condition, as the syphilis developed in his body, it affected his mind. he collected uterus of women that he displayed in jars, and after having a gentleman over a meal,
that's just crazy.
He would then explain why women are so disgusting, showing these uterus. When I discovered the letters, now we knew that there were maybe 2 or 3 letters in the Hall Caine archive on the Isle of Man, and I had to wait about 10 years for that archive, first of all, to be released. There was nothing sinister about the release of that. That was it was an agreement, really, because there were things in there that related of a sensitive family matter. That's not any concern of the public, really. And in any way. That's why it was held. There's nothing sinister about it. When it's released, everything was released. The family member it concerned had passed away. So it took about 10 years to sort this incredible archive of material. And I went over, I helped sort the very last box, and we found these letters. Now, what struck me was that the letters appeared to be written by different people. The handwriting was... And the thought, I wondered, well, because Tumblety was very good at kind of controlling people. And was he dictating these letters, and they're being written by, it's a correspondence between Francis Tumblety and Thomas Henry Hall Caine. It's thought that they were homosexual lovers, with Tumblety having his hold, his claws into Hall Caine, because once he'd got his claws into you, he would then kind of blackmail you by saying, well, I know things about you.
Lord, okay.
Yeah. And he wouldn't be above that. Now, so we've got these letters in different handwriting. So it's to one person. Why does the handwriting look so different? He doesn't need to disguise it. So I got in touch with, she's a forensic document examiner, not just a handwriting expert, not just a graphologist. She works. Her name is Ruth Myers. She is on the register of expert. She's an expert witness. So in some of the most notable modern trials, she has examined paperwork, documents, checked for authenticity, but also helped analyze the mental state of some of these people from their handwriting.
Wow.
Collaborating with psychologists and others involved. She's part of a team. But she is an expert witness. And I thought, I approached her and I said, look, I'll be honest. These are very old letters. There's nothing to catch you. I'd just like to see, are they authentic? And what do they tell you about this man? And I didn't say anything too much more than that. And she came back, and it's in my Dracula Secrets book. Her response was verbatim and reproduced with her permission. And it says that, this man shows all the traits of somebody capable of murder.
Okay.
It's quite simple. And it is the same person. And their persona is such that they transform into such a different person. The handwriting changes.
Holy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the 2-in-1. Your Jekyll Hyde.
Yeah.
And that's pretty dark.
Was he married? Did they have any children?
This is the difficulty. He claimed he was. We've never found evidence that he was. He claimed that he was married. His wife was he claimed she was a secret. She entered into prostitution in secret, and she gave him this disease that no longer made him a man. But that might have been one of the stories he told us, to explain why he had such a hatred of woman. He's, to me, the most compelling suspect that we have because of his profile. He has a medical knowledge. He's been involved in abortions, his hatred of women. And my friend Mike Hawley over in America, and there's a lovely group of guys over there, Joe Chetcuti and Roger Palmer. They're Team America, because Tumblety worked in America, Britain, and Ireland. You know, he's hopping around, and Canada. So it's an international team that really. I've always known it would take that to nail him. When Tumblety fled, he was arrested for an indecency charge in 1888. He fled his bail from London back via France to America. And now we have the advantage of being able to look at newspapers online, more and more newspapers being released all the time. And wherever Tumblety went, and this is in Mike Hawley's new book, you can there are unsolved murders wherever he went. He leaves a bloody trail wherever he goes. And this isn't just a murder taking place in the same town. Even the localities have been out. You can work out that the murder is not far from where he had his offices as he moved from place to place. It's disturbing. It's compelling. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm not nailing all of my colours to the mast yet, because you never know.
Buy the book. Buy the book.
Never know. You never know. Have a look at Dracula's Secrets. Have a look at Railway Killer from Mike Hawley. That I think there's more work to be done, but for the time being, as Inspector Littlechild said in the original letter that opened all of this up, the letter that was found by Stuart Evans, a wonderful crime historian, very, very good friend of mine. And when he found that letter, he found that Inspector Littlechild of London Special Branch, you know, the police that are involved with national security, said Tumblety is a highly likely suspect. Wow. I think that holds as well now as it did then.
Wow. What happened to him? What happened to him? Did he grow old and die?
Yes, well, not exceptionally old, but yes, he died of all of his various ailments and medical conditions in a I think he was in a sort of convent sanatorium in America. But what was intriguing about Tumblety, he made a lot of money. He had his Tumblety Pimple Banisher, which was on sale. If you get your Harper's magazine from the time of the American Civil War, there were often adverts. Tumblety's Pimple Banisher, great.
Oh wow!
And he died. You know, he's got diamond ring and he's got gold and he's got a lot of money.
Okay.
But don't forget, serial killers often keep a trophy or two. You know, you think about the killer at 10 Rillington Place, right? Now that was Reg Christie.
Right.
Okay,
that's right. Yeah.
When he was caught, they found in that premises a tobacco tin containing the pubic hair of a number of his victims. But the thing was, they matched it all up, but they still found in pubic hair from women that they never found the bodies for them.
Oh dear.
Oh my God.
A lot of people don't know that. Not all of the hair matched.
So it makes you wonder where they are.
Well, the thing was, so we don't want to get too detached from the Tumblety story, but when Christie started killing, it was during the Second World War. You've got a blackout due to the poor way that they checked out references. He had a criminal record. He had very badly assaulted a previous partner. He had taken the child's cricket bat and battered his ex-partner around the head with it. It was horrible. He'd done time for that. He's been inside for fraud. They didn't check, and so he got made a War Reserve Police constable in the Metropolitan Police. So he's in a position of trust. London's been bombed in 1940. It's been terrible. Yeah. So you've got a lot of ruins. You've got a lot of bodies being found, bits of bodies being found. We know that he actually took one of the body parts of the women he killed and dumped it in a ruin from an air raid. So the thinking is that there are either unsolved murders that have not been attributed to Christie, and some look like they might be. And often, as a serial killer progresses, their modus it will develop. They will find the way that they can kill to satisfy whatever their need is, the desire within them. A bit like the Ripper. His attacks got worse and worse and worse until he could attack inside a room. You know, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Christie had his souvenirs. When Tumblety died, they found 2 cheap brass rings. Now, this is a man, he's got gold, he's got diamonds, he's got a load of money.
Yeah.
When the body of Annie Chapman was found, she's at the back of Hanbury Street.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The murder was called the Hanbury Street Horror.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Jack the Ripper murder.
Yeah.
Her body has been ripped open. Her entrails are placed over her shoulder.
Yeah.
Parts of her body were removed. But what they did notice, and she was known to wear on one of her fingers, were 2 cheap brass rings.
Right.
And they had been wrenched from her finger. They were never recovered. But when Tumblety dies, they find, and it's listed on the effects of what was on his last sort of things that he kept to the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These 2 cheap brass rings.
Wow.
So
that's just
so.
Who knows?
Oh
Who
my
knows?
so much homework to do. If someone's reading,
It's scary. It's scary to think that there could be people like that today. That's doing these things today. Oh yeah, I know.
Tragically, that it exists.
You can know them. That's the thing. You could know them.
Serial killers still exist today. The
Yeah.
advantage is that in the modern world, in places like Britain, we've got an awful lot of CCTV.
Yeah.
In big countries like America, where there's not the CCTV coverage, there are still serial killers around and operating, possibly yet still to be found, because and it may even happen in Britain. You can never say never, because if they're really good at covering their tracks, tragically there are displaced people, that are coming to, they're immigrants or whatever. It can happen in life, that somebody has been in the care system for a lot of years, and then the care system says, right, you're out you go, and tragic things can happen. The statistics of the number of people that disappear every year, it runs into the thousands. But most are found. Some don't want to be found, and the police just have to feedback that they, we don't have to carry on. We have,
Yeah.
But there is, and there are about 10% of that every year.
Yeah.
Which will amount to hundreds of people every year who simply disappear.
Yeah.
It's the same even here in Ireland, that there's a lot of Irish that have gone missing in Ireland, and they move abroad and they just go disappearing and never ever to be heard of again or found. Yeah,
it's chilling. Maybe best not dwell on that.
No, I've got too much reading to do now.
Have you got a wobbly patio out the back?
Listen, no.
Strange you say that, because my next door neighbour was digging a hole in his backyard the other day.
What, guys? I love cold cases. I love watching cold cases, and I go to bed and watch all of these cold cases, and I watch murder not movies, but documentaries and so on. And I said sometimes, I know, and I watched movies, and I said, oh, I could see what they're doing wrong on the crime scene. Yeah. I could get away with murder.
Well, I've worked with people that have worked in pathology and crime scene investigation, and there's only so much you get on TV. The technology that they have now, and the profiling techniques that they use, it's astonishing.
Isn't it amazing the way how, say, in 1950 a murder took place, and then with the technology now, the guys have been arrested.
Oh yeah, if you can get the DNA.
Absolutely, and they've been arrested. I'm thinking, there you lived your cozy life, and now it always bites you in the behind.
Absolutely right. I used to have an old English master when I was at college, and he always said, if you said, oh, I'm sorry, sir, I haven't had a chance to do my homework, the dog's eaten it, or dreadfully, so I dropped it in a puddle or something. And he always said, well, don't lie, because in life's maze, the turds we leave behind us grow legs and find us.
Oh, now I'm dissecting. What did I do? What did I do years ago? Did I do?
We can all just don't. Yeah. Just remember that. It's good thought in life. Now,
that is.
You wanted dark stuff. Now, we've gone into dark murder. We've talked about serial killers.
Yes.
I thought
we've got about 15 minutes left of the show if you want to.
15 minutes. Well, I thought you might like to hear about a couple of the darkest cases.
Yeah, yes, let's do it.
I've been involved in quite a few over the years, but one of the darkest cases that I've ever been involved with, it was part of a television show. It's part of the series Help My House is Haunted.
Love it.
I'm really proud to be part of the regular team that you'll see. Now, I'm not on every episode, but every series, I think since about series 2, wherever they go, they have a different historian. But I've been really lucky that I've been able to prove my worth as a historian. And I cut my teeth in my home county of Norfolk. But if they get a tricky case and it's in, for the next series, they say, well, we're going to ask you, Neil, because the thing is, I like to think I'm not a bad historian. I've got good ways of researching things, and I've been doing this a lot of years. I created the Grim Almanac series, which look at dark tales and legends and murders, anything that's grim, it's by county. So I've amassed quite a lot of folders of different counties, different dark history. I didn't write every volume of that, lots of other wrote, but I was quite proud of that series, and it's still very popular. Anyway, in Help My House is Haunted, every series there'll be one episode, since episode 2, where I'll do my bit. You'll see me on screen.
I seen you on the recent one.
Yes.
I seen you on the recent one. Yeah, I did. It's like, I know him.
And there are more to come. I can't say where and when and all sorts, but more to come. Anyway,
go.
So you can imagine, if they get a tricky one, sometimes they'll say, Neil, we've looked everywhere to try and find something about this place, but it could be, I don't know, a 1970s council house in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
In a little suburb of quite a modern town. And you think, what is it? Or it could be, an ex-council property, or no, just an ordinary home. A starter home. A starter home for people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. And I mean, this case was in a little suburb of Peterborough. And it's an ordinary family home on a 1970s estate, little houses. And they're a lovely couple. Live there. They've got kids, young kids. I should think they were around about that kind of 10 and early teens years. The sort. So the dad's an ambulance worker. He very, very caring, strong man. He can lift and carry people. He's there to help. Just a lovely family home.
Yeah. And
they're always very careful that I don't often get to see Ian Lawman, because Ian does his house walk round, but he has a separate call sheet. He doesn't know where he's going. You might have an idea of the county, but that's about it.
Yes, yeah.
So I wouldn't have anything to do with it if it wasn't that clean. It's got to be right, because it's my reputation, and Ian's the same. It's his reputation,
That's right.
And how he the gift that man's got is absolutely incredible. So I'm given this. It's almost a challenge. It's a task. Neil, we've tried to find something about this place. It's very basic, happy home, but something is affecting this. And I was sent a film taken with this guy's camera. This lovely man does so much to help other people.
Yeah.
And you can hear the kids are distressed. They've come downstairs, and he's taken the camera, and the kitchen light is on. They can see it's on. And they go into and the camera goes in first, and every drawer and every cupboard in the kitchen is open.
Okay.
Everyone's been asleep. There's no one. What do you? I mean, that's and he's asking this. Why are you doing this to us? You can hear the man is genuinely upset. He's frightened. And why are you doing? And you hear this kind of guttural growl. Now on TV, you don't always hear things as well as on the originals or what you hear at the time. You'll know this
on site. Yeah,
investigations over the years. You think, my God, I've got this. I've heard it with my own ears. And the EVP is. You think,
yeah.
I've even seen things in the viewfinder of my digital camera. Yeah, I have seen something.
Yeah,
and you click it. And it's a shadow. Is it a trick of the light? No, because I could see it through my viewfinder. I can see it.
That's crazy. I love it.
Anyway, so I'm giving this challenge. Something funky's going on. I didn't know how serious some of this was until it came to the actual filming.
Okay.
The guy had been so concerned about this manifestation affecting his kids, he'd said, okay, I'm going to sleep in the kids' room,
Yes.
He had been physically pulled out of his bed, of the bed where he was sleeping.
Okay.
And scratched. 3 pronounced scratches.
Okay.
I think that was on his lower leg. Not where he could easily reach and scratch like
right.
Yeah. It certainly wasn't self-inflicted. And if you meet these folks, and I spent a lovely afternoon having a really good chat to him while his wife was doing her filming, to tell this story.
Right.
Because we all clicked. Because this was just such the most bizarre and darkest thing. He got so frustrated with whatever this entity was that he said, "Take me. Leave my kids alone. Take me."
Okay.
Right.
Now, this is deadly serious, and this is where the problem really was, that the thing seemed to latch on to him. It's affecting him. And if you watch the show, something comes over him that you didn't even recognize him, and he lunges at Barry Guy. Yeah. Luckily, Jane Harris is there. She's a very gifted lady in her own right, and she calms it down. Barry backs off, and Jane engages with him and calms him down. He said, "I don't want you here." What on earth's going on? Well, I dug around in the archives, and I thought, because the old railway line used to run not far from where they live, and there was a shunting yard there. And tragically, there was a shunting accident. And this is in the 19th century, and the guy spun over. He shouldn't have been riding the buffers in the shunting yard. It was the end of the day. He was riding the buffer, and he spun around and went underneath the wheels. And the wheels of the railway wagon went over him. Killed him. It's thought that where their housing estate is now is pretty much where he would have walked to go home. He'd have walked across an old track on the fields. Maybe he's a lost spirit. No, and I'd known quite a lot of sort of railway guys over the years. Those working on heritage railways with steam, and when they're on their break, I know what they want. They want a cup of tea. And I thought innocently that, that's what but I'm trying to downplay it. Right? That's why these cupboards are all open, because it's a spirit and he's looking for tea. Yeah, that's great. Hey.
Yeah.
But I did throw into the mix that, because this did seem a lot darker, and Jane said, "Well, that's one idea," but she said, "This is darker. This is darker than a railway worker. He might be," and it did turn out that the railway worker was present there, trying to protect the family.
Oh my God!
And he came through. He was there on EVP. Remarkable. But what was there was something far more ancient. Now, if you read monastic chronicles, Some of the stories seem absolutely fantastic. And there are these accounts that you'll hear in certain areas of what they called wild hunts. Now, these are, you'll probably know it in Irish folklore as well, in Scottish as well. They use the phrase of black monks. Now, this is not ethnically black. This is cowled in black. They are shaded. They are dark. They are demonically black. So that's nothing to do with race at all. These are a demonic blackness. They ride mares, very big, powerful mare horses, and male goats, which is often associated with the devil. And this is a wild hunt that goes from Stamford, which is over in Lincolnshire, to Peterborough, and it would ride across the fields, and the monks had to deal with this kind of demonic manifestation, whatever it was. Whatever it was. And it seemed that over the years that their prayers and whatnot, it dispersed it. And also it became developed over recent years. And so, you know, who would worry about that? The house, for the very first time, and it was the very, very first time I ever had to say on television, I believe this is a demonic manifestation. Because it wasn't just some railway man opening cupboard doors. This is
evil.
This is evil. And then I learned about the scratches. I learned about the things that, and I said, well, this is a demonic manifestation. Now, Ian Lawman had picked up on the railway man's spirit. He'd also picked up on something very, very dark manifesting in that house. Things are being thrown around, more or less from word go when the crew get in there. During the night, they carry out an EVP session, and I'd never heard anything quite like this. They are trying to engage with this. You've got to try it as a spirit first. You don't instantly assume this is a
demonic.
They are using an EVP recorder, asking questions, and the responses record backwards.
Oh, you're kidding me. I have horrible goosebumps. Oh my God.
I kid you not. I have never, in my entire decades, I mean, my first ever paranormal investigation was 1988. In all of those years, up till that time, I had never heard anything like that on recording. It was just...
I would probably clean my ears out. You just can't unhear that stuff.
I would probably throw away the recorder, never mind.
Thank goodness that Ian Lawman he's a genuine ordained exorcist. He's the real deal. And they managed to get the name of the demon.
Okay.
Was this on the recent episode?
It was on, I think it was the previous series, the first episode of the previous series. Yeah. Right. It's called Devil in Disguise.
I've seen.
Originally, I'd suggested that it should be called the Peterborough Poltergeist, because that's what I thought it was.
Oh God! Oh my God!
But this is demonic. It's devil, and thank
God.
And watch the app, because there's all sorts of stuff that happened during that night. Things falling, doors opening. They move on the demon. Now the demon is laid in that property, and thank God that family is safe and it's calm. But it's like any type of adverse energy that you can send it away, you can banish it from that area, but it will go somewhere else.
Goes somewhere else.
Business.
That's the problem.
You'd be waiting for the call for a call that would have the same story, and you're dealing with the same. So it's just he's kind of moved on to somewhere else.
He's just moved next door, basically. So
I actually had a conversation. Be further than that, but these are forces of darkness. It's like any force, any pressure. It will.
Yeah.
You have to be so careful, and I'll say this to everybody with respect. I know we've got a lot of very experienced people that have worked in all sorts of areas of the paranormal, but please be very careful, because these things exist. They exist. We've started off with black-eyed children. For goodness sake, that's one of the forms that demons will take, and they will manifest as a child, and you'll think that you're engaging with a child in a paranormal investigation. And there is every chance that that's not actually a child.
We don't always trust. There's one location that we do have children in. And I mean, there's one particular little boy, and well, they all seem sweet, don't they? Because then they bloody rope you in. But I ain't.
Yeah.
And just if I stand my own children, sorry, I love you. But any other like children and audio is like, no, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And they could be genuine children. They could
be. I think you just need to be very, very careful.
I'm not
very aware of it. And be aware of what I call a construct. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that uses that phrase. But a construct is also a very dangerous thing. And you want to get dark, and we'll have to look at this on another occasion, but constructs are things like the Slender Man in America. The Slender Man is something that people are willing, well, often unawarely, but people who mess around with Ouija boards and the paranormal, opening gateways, it can have. I mean, we've all been teenagers. We've all done.
Probably tried it.
I've never tried that.
I've never engaged with that when I was a teen, but
I did.
Some teens will.
And I did.
You can open a door, very easily, but you can't close it easily unless you know what you're doing and you've protected yourself throughout. And that's you need to be really careful with, folks. The door is a really easy gateway to open, but protect yourself. And you know, I hope we will all gather on another occasion, and I will regale you with the tale of the Chillingham demon.
Do you know something? We'll need to get you back for Christmas time for a Christmas special.
Nothing like a nasty demonic tale.
Chris Prindle and all of that. That's the evil Santa, isn't it? Chris.
It's like what you call it? What's the other evil Santa you get?
That's what I'm saying. Chris Prindle, isn't it? No.
There can be evil Santas. There can be all sorts, but believe me, there are plenty more dark tales. But I shall, if you would like, come back and tell you of some of the others that I've found, including one of the darkest cases of murder that I think it was murder. But
we'll talk behind the scenes before you go, but I would like to thank you, Neil. I would like to say thank you very much for coming, guys. The link to Neil Story's books are down below. Please buy one. You know, Christmas is coming. There's nothing like a horror book for a gift at this time of year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anything all these ho books. No.
Or look up and see, we've got the Festival of the Unexplained next year, and we've got 3 parameets across the UK. I'm speaking at all of them. They've all got great guests coming along. You know, if you come and meet us, you don't always have to buy the books. You know, if you've bought books already, bring them along, and we'll sign them for you as well.
Let me get my trailer out. Books.
Now, you beautiful people, I'm going to have to hit the sack, but I shall say.
Thank you. It was lovely seeing you again. It was lovely.
And
thank you so much.
God bless you all. Good night.
You too, Neil.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, my friends.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Brilliant.
That was fantastic, wasn't
it? I could talk all night. I know. I could talk all night about the dark stuff.
I'm going to go and look up. I'm going to look up that episode the night for Help My Home is on.
I remember seeing it, but I want to see it again, because you know when you watch something for the first time and then you're kind of not too sure, but then when you have Neil there to, I mean, I know the team are fantastic. When you're speaking to someone there to say, you know, it is.
Yeah, that was an amazing first show. I mean, we'll have to get a guest. Well, I'm working on getting a guest for 2 weeks' time, so we'll see what happens there. But I would like to say everybody in the chat, sorry we didn't talk to you much in the chat because we were concentrating on Neil and we were interviewing. Just like to say here, thank you very much for coming. And remember, please check out Jenny's channel because she's nearly at 1,000 subscribers. Let's get Jenny
and Louise's channel. Jenny and Louise's channel on YouTube.
Yes. Yeah, let's get you to 1,000 subscribers, get you monetized. You know?
Yes, Emerald Isle Paranormal Research, as it says on the cover.
Yes. And I'm drinking Lucasade. So if you want to sponsor me, I'll take $10 million a year, you know. I'll half it with Jenny, don't worry.
Yeah.
9 million a year.
Give it all to you. Do you win the lottery? No.
I wish I would win the lottery. I really do. I wished I could win the lottery. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. So I hope you all have a fantastic week. Jenny, do you have any shows this week?
No. Myself and the team are away on.
That's right.
We're away on. I have to check. I know what date it is, but I don't know what date it is. We're away on Saturday and Sunday. We're going away for the weekend. We're going to a castle that, like I said before, we're not going to name the castle. We will name it after we come back from it. But we will do a live on it. We will do a live. We will be in Kilkenny. That's all we say. We will be in Kilkenny. And I have to stay in a room on my own. And I was only thinking about it today. I'm like, listen, okay, you'll be on the phone at 3 a.m. And I don't care if you're sleeping. I'm going to be calling you at 3 a.m. But I'm not kidding. You're laughing here. I'm not kidding. I'm probably going to snuff one of my dogs into the bag with me.
You're a celebrity ghost hunter. You've been on bloody the telly and all that. You've been in Leap Castle. What's the worst that could possibly happen?
Succubus. No, Incubus, not succubus. Incubus.
Incubus. You don't know. You might get a visitation for Beth. One at either end.
Oh, Jesus Lord. Louise. I said to Louise, I'm taking her away from my husband. She's staying in the room with me.
Be fine.
I know I'll be fine. But you know when you're staying in a castle and you're staying in a room by yourself, and everyone will be saying, right, we're going to bed. And I'm like, no, stay up for one more glass of wine. This is still too early to go to bed.
Aye. It's only 5:30 in the morning. Let's just stay up some more.
I actually probably would. They'll probably all go to bed and I'll be sitting downstairs by the fire by myself. So I'm asleep on the couch. I don't know. No, I've looked at the rooms. And there's one particular room, and I showed Louise, and like I said, I think I said it before in one of the shows, when you open the door and you have a landing or a hallway. But no, when you open the doorway, and you just have these stone castle steps going up around, and I'm like, okay, we're not doing that room.
As long as you lock your bedroom door, I'm sure the ghosts or apparitions will not be able to get in.
Yeah. I mean, that'll keep them out, won't it?
I've heard people saying that to me. They're going to stay at a haunted location, but they're going to lock the door, and I'm like, they're ghosts.
Okie dokie. I know when I stayed in a hotel in Sligo, the Clayton Hotel, and it was a former asylum hospital, and I didn't know which what room Aidan was going to stay in and what room I was going to stay in, and so I checked both rooms out, and one of the rooms was a huge family room. Like you had this huge hallway with a chandelier in it. That's your whole. That's so you have your bedroom. You walk out of your bedroom to go to the bathroom, and then you have this huge hallway, and then you go to your door. Yeah. So I said, God, if I have to get out of the room, I mean, it's going to be a bit of a run to get out of the room. And I checked. Yeah. I checked out Aidan's room, which is very small and compact, which would have been, okay, nice and compact, and I like small. The room was nice and small, but the arch, and behind the arch there was a coffee, around the corner there was a coffee and making machine and all that crack. And Aidan said that looks like it was a doctor's surgery thing. And I said, right, I'll take the other room. So when we had one of the guys coming down to the hotel to meet us that night to give us a wee tour, because he used to work in a hotel, a wee tour about the basement and so on and so on. He said, no, over this side is the most active area. And he pointed up to my block. What room I had picked, and I thought, okay. I was up at 3 a.m. doing a show in America. I did.
Fine. Look, Look, can I ask you something? What's the bed like? Is it one of the 4-poster beds with the big gap under the bottom?
No, so when I sent you it, there's a fireplace in the room and a big brown.
Right.
Now, it could have been updated
Fine.
from then. It could have been updated from then.
Fine. It'll be fine. But get them to light the fire so it's burning away for you, you know.
Yeah, I'll see if I
Relaxing.
can light the fire. See if I can light the fire. I'll just bring my iPad with
Aye.
me and
Just go to sleep with a crucifix in your hand, you know.
I'm just looking at
And the
Louis.
holy water in the other.
I'm looking at Louise saying, Drew, great idea.
We can't see Drew for some weird reason. Drew doesn't show up in either channels.
I want to see what Drew's idea is.
What are you saying, Drew?
Can I see it? Can I see it? Why can't we see it? Oh no,
don't know. It's the same in my channel when I go to talk to Drew.
Oh, Chris said you fall asleep on video chat together so snug, and Chris and Chris and you. Did you fucking say that? You aren't. Did you say that?
I say that. I say because we text each other at night and stuff like she was asking me.
Maybe that would be worse. What else? No, that's. I've
dropped my phone on a many occasion. It's fell out my hand in bed. Because Drew asked me yesterday. She says, "Do you video call each other?" And I says, "But we usually text each other." And sometimes through the night, I'll sit the phone down on my chest and I'll fall asleep, and then I'll move, and the phone will slip out and land on the floor. And I'll wake up. I'll pick it up. And I'll take my phone to see if it's all right.
I was lying on the couch tonight, and Louise said, "Jen, did you call me? I heard my phone, but I didn't ring her. But my phone was on the table, and I was on the couch."
Somebody did that to me the other night. Somebody phoned me and they said they dropped the phone.
They what?
Somebody did that to me the other night. They accidentally called me at 4:30 in the morning, but they said their phone fell off their bed.
Oh.
And they didn't mean to do it. And I've done it a few times. See, when I've been talking to you and through the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, like I was saying to Drew, we'll text each other.
Aye.
And then I'll slowly drift off and I'll leave the phone line. You can how you sometimes fall asleep.
Aye, but I know what you're bloody like. I know what you're like. Oh, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny. A tap of the morning to you there, a wee bit of the Irish. So I would like to tell everybody what off now. I'm away to play with my Lucky Charms. I'm going to get a big bag of potatoes.
Okay.
So,
oh my God,
ladies and gentlemen,
Flush is here. Look.
Oh, Flushes. See, she likes it when I talk Irish. Tap the morning.
Lord,
I'm going to tell you that, you know.
We talk Irish.
I tell you that, you know. I tell you that, you know.
That's creepy. We're going to dress you up in a leprechaun outfit.
Ooh, to play with my Lucky Charms.
you know that look. Oh, what was that one? The leprechaun in America. You know the horror movie.
The one that grants wishes and kills folk. I kid the one. The one with the big ugly face and the big ears and stuff.
We can dress you up as him.
Oh, so ladies and gentlemen, we're off now, and Jenny would like to say good night. Good night, everybody. Long.
Weirdo.
I don't know. I've went mad. I really have.
I thought you were off, and I just said weirdo.
I know.